So, folks, do we need a second In-N-Out burger in the city of Downey? I personally think we do. I might even vote for it on the Planning Commission. Stay tuned for the show. We're going to talk about all these details. How about round one, where the Sears building is, where a bowling alley, and you have restaurants, and you have arcades, and things for family to do? We'll talk about it on there if we listen to the show. Did their city council kind of blow it a little bit in promoting our history and our space shuttle in the Columbia and our downtown mural? Let's talk about it. Stay tuned. We cover a lot of these different things in this episode. Hi, I'm Mario Guerra, the two-time former mayor of the great city of Downey. There's a lot packed into the show, but we thank you for watching, listening to Talking Downey with Mayor Mario. It's been a while since we recap many of the local things going on. And folks, there's so many things that I wanted to do just to show an episode, just to talk a little bit of tidbits about every single thing that's going on, because this is early December and man, it's full pack events on there. City of Downey does a great job and in making sure that our community comes out and does some special things. So I'm going to recap some things. I'm going to go really fast. I'm going to dwell on a couple of them and kind of stay focused a little bit on some of them on there that I want to give my opinion. So let's get into it. So first of all, 4 years ago, because we had it last night, we had a meeting for the cemetery board. I chair the Downey Cemetery Board, and we talked about this. This is the fourth year that we have wreaths across America. And what we do, we get all kinds of sponsors and individuals that buy wreaths for all the veterans of the Downey Cemetery. We have 350 350 veterans that are there at the Downey Cemetery. So just like they do across from all over the country, especially at the military cemetery like Arlington, Riverside, and so forth, we place wreaths on the veterans on this particular Saturday. Now, we make it very clear. It is not to decorate a tombstone. It is not to decorate the soldier's tombstone. It's to make sure they're memorialized, make sure they're remembered, make sure that we honor and respect that veteran. So it's a beautiful thing. And we also tell the volunteers, when you lay down the wreath, take a couple steps back, read the soldier's name that's in that plot on there. Say a little prayer if you're inclined to do so, but give them the respect and the love that they deserve. Again, we're not decorating it, but ours in Downey, it's sold out. Every single wreath was sponsored, and we even had more that we continue to be able to use for next year. So it's a beautiful thing that we just started doing 4 years ago, and now it's part of our community. There was like 10 or 11 different volunteer groups from several churches and veterans group. So anyway, it's coming up December 13th. You're welcome to come by the Downey Cemetery at 10 a.m. and, get a wreath and lay it at the veterans. We put crosses at all the different veterans' graves to start with. We do that in early morning on there. Our staff does. So that's coming up. Wreaths Across America. What a beautiful thing. There's a trucking company, a big trucking company called JB Hunt, and their a local one is here in Southgate. And they asked me to come and speak to their drivers before they go out through all over the country to deliver these particular ones, about the meaning of it. So I thought that was kind of special on there. So good for them. So next Tuesday, I'll be speaking to our other drivers. Okay, things are coming up. The Apollo lighting, the Columbia Center. We did the Christmas tree lighting earlier this week at the Downey City Hall. And that's always a fun event. That started my last couple of years in the council. It's kind of funny. The council members, at that time, we were all men. And we all wore leather jackets the first time we ever did it. So every year it kind of made it was a thing that we wore these black leather jackets. So it kind of became a thing. But it was a really fun community event. And I thank the city for putting that on and Mayor Sosa for hosting that. But we do this at the Apollo Center. And there'll be all kinds it's for about 3 hours on the 6th, so that's Saturday night. Not only do we do the lighting of the Apollo capsule that we have outside the Columbia Space Center, but there'll be an opportunity for arts, crafts, food, STEM involvement. They do a really good job, and I'm not giving it the service, and I'm not giving it the detail that it deserves, but that's also a great family community event. And then one of favorites for everybody coming up on Sunday, December the 7th, is the Christmas parade. So in Downey, it comes down Downey Avenue and it turns left over there into City Hall. So I got a list of the participants. And folks, there are 114 participants in this year's Downey Christmas Parade. That's awesome. It's put on by the Chamber and with all the sponsors. One of the main sponsors is the same main sponsor for this show, Financial Partners Credit Union, and they do a great job. The credit union, the board, which I'm a member of the board, but I won't be riding with them. I'll be riding a little bit later in the parade. They all, and the volunteers, they all walk together. You'll see them in the yellow shirt. So thank you, Downey Chamber and Financial Partners and all the other sponsors. It's a beautiful event. This is a blast for me, and we've been doing it now for several years. When I became a CASA, started writing with my Army teammates. But it also became 2 years ago when we had our first JROTC at Warren High School. Lieutenant Colonel Melissa Gardner rode with me, and we had some of the students do the color guard. Last year, we had a lot of their students in the JROTC, probably 50 to 70. And this year, I invited the Warren High School JROTC and the Downey High School JROTC. And both of them are going to participate together. They get along great. Command Sergeant Major Sam Lee and Lieutenant Colonel Gardner from Warren High, they work together. From Downey High, Sam Lee is from Downey High. So we're going to be marched together with our National Guard, some of our Army recruiters. I get to play cool, fun thing and ride in the back of the Humvee, and I get to wave on there. Anyways, it's coming up. There's usually 25,000 people there. So we certainly promote our community, and we love our city and the Downey Christmas Parade. Okay, so also, this is a big thing that's just happened. So we just did the groundbreaking for our Inspiration building at the Columbia Memorial Space Center. So we got there's a great front page in the Downey Patriot. The Press Telegram had another story right on the front page. The LA Times talks about it, how we broke ground, but says that, they're arguing with us about us being the Latino Beverly Hills. The writer actually says that it should be Whittier, and come on, dude. Sorry. It's not the Mexican Beverly Hills. It's the Latino Beverly Hills. We laugh about that from an LA Times article. But the one thing is that our youth sometimes forget about the history here. And that's what he was talking about. We're home of Apollo. Obviously, the space shuttles were built here. And that's something important to continue to pass that on. This comes to my next part of it. So in the Downey Patriot, had the great story there about the Columbia breaks ground on the major expansion. It actually quotes me a little bit. We built a space shuttle and Apollo capsule on the hallowed ground, and I'm honored to continue serving on this board along 3 other former mayors of France. We'll carry forward the legacy that is so vital today, who was Mario Guerra, who was mayor in 2009. It is a place for future generations to connect with space history, learn, have hands-on experience, and be inspired. And that's the name of the full-scale mock-up. It's called the Inspiration. Dr. Roger Brosmer and I were the 2 subcommittee always for the Space Center, because that was our niche, and that's what our love and passion, and we've continued to serve on that board after we've been out of office. But I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? And don't tell anybody. But we were trying to come up with a name for this full-scale mock-up. And it was easy to both of us in coming up and saying, well, this should be called the Inspiration. This inspired everything else. And we thought that was perfect. Well, okay, maybe we shouldn't be the ones naming it, okay? Maybe, why don't we have a contest? And the first person that comes up with the name Inspiration, we'll declare that person the winner. And we worked with Scott Pomeran. He was our deputy city manager. It was the 3 of us that came up with this. And sure enough, Inspiration got, 10, 15 votes out of 150. So we took the first person, and that's who we named her as coming up with the name. But in reality, it was over a couple pizzas, and it was Dr. Brosmer and I. There's no other name that is fitting for this. It's the Inspiration for all the rest of them. It's the one that built up when NASA came in and saw, oh, this could work, from North American Aviation in Rockwell. So it was an easy call. We now have this. We didn't know what to do with it. The city of Downey literally was trying to give it away to other cities. And a couple of us on the council put our foot down, but as it turned out, nobody else wanted it. It's made out of wood. It'd be expensive. Nobody had the history and the legacy with it. So I'm glad we kept it. We put it under wraps and we've kept it. And now we're building this building. It's going to be beautiful. We're refurbishing it. It's actually in pretty good shape. There's a big tent over on Woodruff that it's under. We broke ground for the new building. I think we're going to put some of the renderings on here. If you could do that, Brandon, put the pictures of the renderings during this part when I'm talking on here, that would be great. So you could see what it's going to look like. You're going to actually be able to go inside of it. And it's awesome. It's great for our legacy. It's great for our history, but more important, it's great for our youth to be able to use this facility and see how important that can be. So we, in their downtown district and through Public Art Fund, we're putting a mural over on the parking lot, okay? The parking lot right next to the Look Theater, okay? And it's a great opportunity for us to highlight some history and so forth. And they're spending $93,000. They hired Stay Gallery to design one on there. A lot of different designs, and this is what it'll look like. Okay, I'll try to make sure that we get a better picture on here, but I have it here. This is what the council approved. Inside the D, it says, welcome to downtown. It's got the oranges, and inside each of the D's got the Kaufman wing, the Volte building. It's historical over there by right next to the promenade. And that's why historical. Glenn Kaufman was the architect for the Hoover Dam. And he designed that building, and that was the offices for North American Aviation, so it's important. So that'll be inside the D, inside the O, the Reeves Mansion, W, the Downey City flag. The N is an Apollo spacecraft atop a Saturn rocket. And E is the Carly Parsley Johnson House, which is, where the Assistance League, historical for us. And Y is the Downey Grammar School Arch, which you see over there behind the police department on there, which is a terrible place. Nobody can really see it. There's even no sidewalks to get to it. But it's part of our history. So that'll be in the D. The one thing that I have a problem with, and I'm so glad they're doing the space shuttle there, okay? That's awesome that it's going to be there. When the first proposals, I wrote to every single council member and said, hey, this is awesome. Please go with the shuttle versus not the shuttle. But here's an opportunity, a teaching moment. The rocket booster that the shuttle leans on, okay, this is orange, all right? The first and only time that it ever flew when it was white was the very first flight. That was on the Columbia. Okay, so you can win a bar bet. If you ever see a picture and the booster on the middle there is white, you can say, oh, that's the Columbia. And you can bet your dollars that that's got to be the Columbia. It only flew one time. So I lobbied them and says, hey, why don't you make it white? And some of the people says, well, it's not as pretty. Okay, well, it's historical, so it doesn't have to be pretty. It's white. The orange blends in better. I heard all kinds of excuses. This is more identifiable. Well, wouldn't it be more identifiable if it was actually the historic one, the Columbia, and maybe somebody asked, one of our kids asked, hey, why is that white? Well, that's because that's the original one. The Columbia flew 17 times before the February 1st, 2003 disaster, but only one time. So people said, oh, it flew more than that, so it wasn't only one flight. Yeah, but it's only one original, only one first flight ever in the history. So I think they missed the boat. There is a power box painted on the corner of Columbia Way and Imperial, and it's got the real one. It's got the white rocket booster. When you walk into the Columbia Center, the mosaic that you see there that's made out of all the pictures of the crew from the Columbia space shuttle, that rocket booster is also white. So here we're doing this interpretation and they're just off base. So I know they meant no harm, but they did. And I lobbied hard and begged and so forth. And they went for, it looks better, or, it flew more than once, or, nobody will know what it is. It's not historical. It's a lost opportunity. It's a lost learning opportunity. So that's all I've got to say on that. I think they kind of blew it. The vote was 3-0 without discussion on the consent. Mario Trujillo had to abstain because that's in the downtown, and he always has a conflict because he owns a building there. And Councilman Fermetta was, I think, in Israel. She was out of the country. So I'm sorry. I just think that's a blown opportunity. And if anybody asks you on there, that should be white. Okay. That doesn't mean they're bad people. That just means that. The Downey Patriot, we've been collaborating with them for many years. And by the way, they did put in here in their paper, if you ever want to get a hold of us, there is a link here for us. Watch the Talking Downey show. There is a barcode there that makes it easy to come to us. So anyways, this week's paper has a whole story about Hector Sosa, Mayor Hector Sosa, in his last week and some of his accomplishments, and he got a lot of good things done. He's been a good man, good mayor for us. And you may ask, what happens next? Oh, by the way, if you want to go to his mayor transition, it's Thursday, December the 8th. Thursday, December the 8th at City Hall at 6:30, and we say goodbye to him. The couple of days before, they vote on mayor. And yeah, people say, well, we rotate mayors. Well, we really don't. Okay, our charter doesn't say you rotate mayors. We actually vote for mayors. The council, we vote for the council, and the council votes for mayor. So there's been a couple instances when people got skipped. In my case, I was moved up to mayor pro tem ahead of Ann Bear, so I was mayor in my third year, and some other people have been too. So the council has to vote for mayor. And in this case now, you think the obvious choice is Dorothy Pemberton, mayor pro tem. Dorothy's done a great job. She's been out there, attends a lot of events and so forth, and I think she's up to it. But we'll see if she accepts, and we'll see if they promote her. The next mayor pro tem should be Horacio Ortiz. Likeable young man, hustles for the city, answers residents' calls, and really cares. So next year it should be, I'm not predicting it, I'm not saying it will be, but it should be Dorothy Pemberton mayor and Horacio Ortiz as mayor pro tem. And we'll go from there. But on Thursday for sure will be the outgoing of Mayor Hector Sosa, and it's always a celebratory night. Hector's a friend and done a great job. We've had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we got a lot of responses. So, by the way, I'm covering a lot of things. I'm going through, you normally never see me with checklists on things, right? You never see anything up here. This time, I wanted to show you a couple of visuals, and I wanted to go through here because we hadn't really talked about the city that much in detail or the little nuances like that. And many of you, I've get a lot of response from you. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks for giving us some background information. So that's what I wanted to do here and talk a little bit about that. So I am on the Downey Planning Commission. I've been blessed to serve the last 3 years, and this year I am the chairman, and which is really fun. I enjoy the rest of my colleagues on the Planning Commission, but it's not always easy. It's a lot of nuances. So on Friday of the week before, this week we had it on Wednesday because of the holiday schedule, we get a packet from City Hall delivered to our house. We get it electronically too, but most of us like it in paper. This is the packet for us to review for this week that we have, okay? So they're not usually this thick. The biggest one in here, and you guys will be glad to know that there is, we are looking at adding another In-N-Out burger, okay? It'll be on the corner of Woodruff and Imperial Highway. So this is the transportation impact analysis with all the different graphs and times and numbers, because we all know the traffic that it caused over on Lakewood Boulevard, where the building next door, which used to be owned by Parking Company America, my friends the Chavezes and the Valdez, they literally sold the building, and In-N-Out bought it and tore it down to make more parking. So that was definitely a need. So in this case, that used to be the old Jackal Lane and the health center at the corner there. It's on the southwest corner. So they're coming. It's before the Planning Commission tonight. So I still have a little bit more work to do on this. And that's one of the 3 public hearings that we'll be having. Another public hearing, this one's kind of fun. Excuse me. It'll be a conditional use permit for the Stonewood Mall. And it'll be for the old Sears building, okay? And it's going to be a 139,000 square foot indoor entertainment center with arcade, bowling alley, activity area, restaurant, ABC license, eating, and they'll be within the existing tenant, which means inside the existing building of Stonewood Mall, okay, of the Sears. So the company is Mastered Stonewood that owns that. But anyways, this should be fun. It should be a new family activity. We in the city have been pushing for this. That was the In-N-Out part, but I think it's going to be interesting. So we'll have the public hearing tonight and get an idea, more details from it. I'll share with you in the future. But this is really promising. This is exactly what the city of Downey and the families and the residents have been calling for. We approved on the Planning Commission, about 6 months ago, to go right next to it was this store that has a lot of claw machines, those claw things that you and I, if we go to a restaurant, you can get a stuffed animal and, you spend $4 or $5 there giving it away. But there's a company there that started this idea, and they have a whole bunch of them. It's very popular in Japan and some other countries. And folks, from what I hear, they're doing fantastic. That was approved by the Downey Planning Commission, and they're doing great. So that's right there in that section. Right in front of Stonewall, we approved it 2 weeks ago, is going to be a Spotted Frog dance studio, a new dance studio right before you come in to the food court area there. And then, of course, you saw last week our show was with Vito Bello, the general manager for Stonewood. So they're looking at redoing that all. They're looking at different kind of tenants coming in. So stay tuned. But the Planning Commission has a role in some of that. The third thing on the Planning Commission, we have In-N-Out. We have the Sears location. And then right across from Raising Cane's, right on that corner there, off of Firestone, there's a gas station there. Just got a little booth, and that whole thing is going to be tore down. It's going to be made a convenience store in the back. It'll still be a gas station in the front, but they're spending a lot of money redoing that. So any kind of upgrades that come to our city is always welcome. So there is a public hearing on it tonight, and by the time you get this, it'll most likely have been approved. So what else has been going on in Downey? Brandon, what else did we talk about that I wanted to... Oh, you guys saw was really cool. Young senior from Downey High School, Ezekiel Ponce, got to speak with the Pope. Of all the millions of kids throughout the world, he was asked to come and speak to the Pope in Indianapolis. The Pope had done a lot of videos into the World Youth Conference, 16,000 students inside the Indianapolis Convention Center there. And he was one of the few that got to ask a question. And he asked about, how do we give our problems to the Lord? How do we include God in our lives? And the Pope gave him a great answer. Talk to him about faith and spending time in prayer and making sure that we value God's message to us and we value God's life and love for us. So it was kind of neat. He goes to Dominic Savio Church, but he's a senior at Downey High School. And it's been mentioned all over the world, this young man from Downey, city of Downey. So God bless him. I thought that was pretty interesting. Last thing I'll mention now is we had at the cemetery board last night, the Historical Society. We're going to do a show with the Downey Historical Society. Many of you don't know where that is. It's over at Apollo Park. It's over on the corner there at Apollo Park, right before you start walking into the gym. And they got amazing thing. You got some dedicated people, Bob Thompson, and you have the Gutierrezes, and you have all these folks that they honor and respect our history. Well, they came to the cemetery board because we have a tombstone at the cemetery for Indian Joe. Indian Joe died in 1922, and somebody had stolen his headstone, and we had another one made, and then it came back. The original one came back. So we've had this duplicate one in storage for, a couple of decades, if you will. So the Historical Society found out about it and asked if they could have it, and they'll be custodians from it. So last night we had to vote for this, and we did. It was unanimous on the cemetery board to let the Downey Historical Society be the stewards of this tombstone for Indian Joe, and then talk about the history. And we're going to do a show at the Downey Historical Society, including Indian Joe, but just so you can see what's inside there. If you haven't been there, take a walk through memory lane and see the amazing things that are happening that we have in the history here in the city of Downey. We talk about the space history and the orange grove, orange fields, but there's so much here. We're blessed to have that history. I know some cities that don't have any of that history. And I'm like, we have this overwhelmingly amount of wealth in our historical area. And I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of our space history, but I'm proud of all the other things that we do. So, and then lastly, I've covered a lot of ground, okay? Many of you have been asking for this or that. We want to know, going into the Christmas season, I'm going to do a special show kind of about traditions that my family does and things that we just did at Thanksgiving, but things that we do coming up for Christmas in the new year. I'd like to hear yours. Send us some emails. Send me a text. I've gotten several texts. You know my phone number, 562-706-4114, 562-706-4114. So send me some texts, some ideas. Next week when the Talking Downey team, that's Brandon and Hans and Natalie and Kayla, we will try to do everything that you requested and see what's feasible. We're doing some shows now more on the food. You've always wanted the food parts on there, so we're highlighting some. We did one on Brooklyn Pizza the other day that Kayla did. And, after she did it, I went there. And then Mayor Sosa went there, and we've all gone there. And by the way, you go there for the pizza, but I tried a pastrami sandwich. I went back the following week to get the same pastrami sandwich. So nice people, but there's new restaurants and new little stores like that and small businesses that you should be looking at in Downey. So we'll continue to do that. If there's a place you want us to highlight, please send it to us too, okay? My email is mario@guerrains.com, mario@guerrains.com. So we welcome your thoughts. We welcome your ideas. Lastly, we're at the tail end of this year. Earlier this month, we had my son on the show, Ryan Guerra, because this November was Diabetes Month, and we want to highlight his type 1 diabetes and maybe inspire others to take a look to see what the symptoms are and that you can inspire to live a normal life. So our son, we had promised him when he graduated from college that we would take him to Ireland, okay? Ann and I have been to Ireland. We were the ones that signed Sister Cities relations with Roscommon in Ireland, which is the birthplace of John Gately Downey, and we were excited about that. So Ryan now, in 2 Saturdays from now, will be graduating graduate school, and he will be Dr. Ryan Guerra. So he went past, his undergraduate was USA Pacific, and the poor guy his graduation was on TV. It was during COVID. They literally just had a picture, and we're in our living room. Yay, way to go, Ryan. It's just, we all felt cheated, of course. And that was the least of all the worries when people were dying during that COVID year. But now he'll be graduating. We'll be putting the tassel on his head, on his shoulders, on there, and we'll walk out of there as Dr. Guerra. Super proud. We're taking him to Ireland, and we've already set it up for early March. I contacted Tom Crosby, Mayor Tom Crosby from the Council of Roscommon, And they were so excited, him and his wife. They even invited us to stay at their home for, we're going to be 3 or 4 days in Roscommon. And we turned it down. We said that was very generous. We're going to stay at the Abbey, the same hotel that we stayed at when we visited. But he's got it all arranged. We're going to go to the homestead of John Gately Downey too, in the Irish countryside. And then, of course, the bust that they have of John Gately Downey, which we have the other one. There's only 2 in the world, and one I had commissioned in front of Downey City Hall. So that's kind of cool. And then we sent the plaque in front of their cemetery next to the statue of John Gately Downey, that we were there and the date that we signed the twinning. They call it twinning. We call it Sister City. So stay tuned for that. And I just wanted to give you that because we're all excited. We just finished planning the trip, and we're going to go all around Ireland. But when we do go there and we come back, we'll report and do a story on it. So, okay, that was a long show, but I wanted to make sure to get in all those discussion items that we've been talking about lately, all the different things that the Planning Commission does, the Patriot reporting on good things, and doing their job, and Eric and Jennifer. So we appreciate you. We appreciate our Downey community, our Downey city, and all the good things that are happening. Stay tuned. Look at the agendas for things coming up, because Downey just doesn't stop, and we couldn't be prouder. Look forward to hearing from you. Ideas, thoughts, places you want to go. What would you like to see in the show? And tell us when we're wrong or not. I got a text yesterday, the same old question too about Trader Joe's and about this and that. And I try to answer every single text that I get from you. So anyways, God bless you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Talking Downey with Mayor Mario.